Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just give you a 2-minute warning. We're going to start in about 2 minutes. Thank you. All right, good afternoon. Welcome Governor Inslee, presidential electors and alternates, and state party representatives. As your Secretary of State, it's my honor to preside over the 2020 present the 2020 general election certified results to the 33rd convening of the Washington State Electoral College. If you are able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our country's great flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 2020 is a year unlike any we've ever known. Despite a global pandemic that has changed our lives in ways we could not have ever imagined, and amid social unrest and protest, we oversaw one of the most exciting and impassioned elections in recent memory. The people of the great state of Washington were engaged, energized, and eager to make their voices heard. In fact, more Washingtonians voted in this election than in any other in our history. Nearly 4.2 million registered voters took part. The turnout rate of 84.14% is less than 0.5% shy of our all-time record set in 2008 when we elected our first African-American president. So, to the voters of Washington, on behalf of everyone here, your community, your state, and your country, we say thank you. We also like to thank the thousands of dedicated election officials across all 39 counties who worked tirelessly to accurately count more ballots than the state has ever seen. They audited, canvassed, and certified their election results and reported them to the Secretary of State's office. We compiled those results and certified them to present to you today. Finally, we want to thank our local, state, and federal partners, including the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the U.S. Postal Service, and the Washington National Guard. These strong relationships enabled us to run an election that balanced voter access with strong security measures. It created a fair and accurate state election. Now we turn our eyes to the Electoral College. The framers of the U.S. Constitution created the Electoral College as a compromise. It was a compromise between two competing viewpoints, whether a president should be elected by Congress or by popular vote. Brilliantly conceived, and when rightfully executed, the Electoral College gives the people, all 50 states, and the District of Columbia, a fair and equitable say in who should lead our country. Today's convening of the Electoral College formally begins a peaceful transition of power of our nation's leadership. Elections are the bedrock of our democratic institutions and our representative form of government. The ceremony and tradition of this meeting mark an end to one of the most contentious elections of our time and symbolize the foundation of our constitutional republic. This is a moment in our country's history where electors in state capitals across America are convening to cast their votes on behalf of the voters of their respective states. As you can see, this is getting me today. While some people continue to call into question the outcome of this election, average citizens from all walks of life will step up today to exercise their responsibility to perform their constitutional duty to the best of their ability and cast their ballot for President and Vice President of the United States of America. The results will be sent to Congress to begin the next steps in the inauguration process. This is an important ceremony. This is the American way of governance. This is democracy in action, and I'm so thankful to have each one of you here today. As we gather today in the State Senate chamber and turn our attention to you, our 12 electors who represent not only our congressional delegation, but our entire state. Along with your 526 colleagues nationwide, you will faithfully execute your duties in accordance to the law of the land and the will of the people. And in doing so, bring the 2020 general election to a close. Thank God. Okay. So thank you for participating in this historic ceremony. Now it's my honor to introduce and welcome Governor Jay Inslee for a few words.
Thank you, Madam. Judges of your office for the last few months and the grace and dignity which you have shown during that period of time. You are entitled to be a little emotional about today. And I want to thank you for your service. And I want to thank all of your staff and all the volunteers and all the people who made democracy yet again a powerful instrument for good in our state. And we had a lot of volunteers out there counting ballots and doing a good job this year. I want to thank the electors. I want to tell you that you look great, socially distanced and masked. And what we're going to prove today is that masks do not stop the voices of democracy from winning the day. Democracy is going to win today because the will of Washington voters will be fulfilled in the work you do today. And I want to thank you for that. You are convening to certify these results in the midst of a tumultuous time, as we know. And it is our goal to unite our state and our nation through this electoral process. And you're playing a pivotal role in that. And it is particularly pivotal this year because we know we have been given a great gift by our predecessors of democracy. And democracy, frankly, has been under attack recently. And your willingness to stand up for democracy is something I think you should take pride in. There has been an unprecedented attack on the very foundations of democracy in our nation recently, and you are standing against that. The fact is we had a free and fair election this year, in spite of the challenges of the pandemic. And the people's voices were heard and counted loud and clear, up and down the ballot, left and right, north and south. But unfortunately, that wasn't good enough for some folks who are out there peddling totally unfounded conspiracy theories which have called into the question the legitimacy of this election. You are standing against that untruth. For the first time in America, it is such a pronounced blow to democracy that a powerful bloc of anti-democratic interests, endorsed by 126 members of the U.S. House of Representatives, conspired to take this election away from the voters. The president and his followers have taken the American people to court dozens of times since election night, and they have failed and dishonored themselves every step of the way. It is time to unite this country, and it is right for the people of Washington to expect, and of America to expect, those members to immediately recognize Joe Biden as the President-elect of the United States as soon as the electoral votes are counted today. Today in America, the forces that would overthrow our democratic institutions have lost again because of your efforts. Because faithful electors who represent the will of the people as expressed through our votes, properly counted, will again, forestall the day that democracy would be threatened. We are at an inflection point in our nation's history, and what people do between now and January 20th will impact future generations of Americans and what they believe this nation represents. We have to be a government that has the will, in the face of powerful, insidious disruptors, to seat the nation's duly elected leader. You are all part of that faithful execution of the will of the voters. And I hope you appreciate the historic moment that you're undergoing. I hope you take value in what you're doing, because now is the time for us to unite. There is no shame in losing an election, but there is shame in being sore losers. And today we will respect everyone's vote and respect the majority will of the voters of the state of Washington. So take pride in what you do today. I'd love to shake your hands, but that'll wait just a little bit until this vaccine kicks in. Then it'll be a great day for us all. Good luck. Thank you very much.
All right, it feels really like heavy in here, and this should actually be more celebratory. I mean, I've already gotten the crying out of the way, so we are good, right? All right. Oh, okay. Well, this is serious business, and it's an honor to be up here presiding over this event. So we're going to begin the actual formal part of the meeting. During the remainder of this meeting, keep in mind that with every step you take, with every stroke of your pen, you are placing your mark on history of the United States of America. The voters of Washington State have entrusted you with this privilege, and it is the will of the voters that you will fulfill today. It's my honor to preside over this meeting of electors and walk you through each step of the Electoral College process. Now in compliance with the federal law, in front of you are the number of votes cast by the voters of the state of Washington for each slate of electors for presidential and vice presidential candidates that appeared on the general election ballot. This certificate of ascertainment establishes that the Democratic parties carried the Democratic Party candidates carried Washington State, and that it is the Democratic Party's electors who should be present in the room today. This certificate has been transmitted under the seal of the state to the Archivist of the United States to be preserved and open to public inspection. At the first meeting of Congress on January 3rd, 2021, the Archivist of the United States shall transmit to both the U.S. House and Senate each and every copy received at the National Archives and Records Administration. As required by Washington state law, each selected elector has executed a pledge that states, quote, "If selected for the position of elector, I agree to serve and to mark my ballots for president and vice president for the nominees for those offices of the party that nominated me." I will now call the roll of electors. When you hear your name, please indicate by saying present. Martin Cheney.
Present.
Jack Ahrens.
Present.
Jackie Lane.
Present.
Patsy Whitefoot.
Present, and that should be Patricia Whitefoot.
I am sorry. We will make that correction. Thank you very much, Patricia, and I apologize for getting that wrong. Nancy Monticelli.
Present.
Julie Johnson.
Present.
Sophia Dannenberg.
Present.
Jen Carter.
Present.
Ryan Kesterson.
Present.
Julian Wheeler.
Present.
Santiago Ramos.
Present.
Peyton Swinford. Standing. We have no vacancies in the College of Electors today. The electors seated here are the individuals named on the Certificate of Ascertainment. Now you have a lot of tasks of carrying out the will of the majority of voters of our great state. I ask all electors to take out your ballot for the office of President of the United States. President of the United States, please print your name of your vote for President as previously pledged, and print and sign your name on the lines below. Voting. I'm pleased to announce that 12 votes have been cast for Joseph R. Biden for the office of President of the United States. It's been a long time since someone watched me count ballots. It's kind of fun. All right. Electors, please take out your ballots for the office of Vice President of the United States. And please print the name of your vote for Vice President as previously pledged, and print and sign your name on the lines below. I'm pleased to announce that 12 votes have been cast for Kamala D. Harris for the office of Vice President of the United States. I can't lie, I kind of liked watching all the women take pictures of their vice presidential ballot with their phone. I thought that was pretty cool. All right, so now we're going to pause as our election staff prepare the official certificates of the vote. What I'd like to do at this time is open the floor to any elector who would like to share some brief remarks. Please raise your hand to be recognized, and I will call on you, and please state your name and where you're from. Everything. Julian Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'll proceed with dispatch.
One quick moment. You may take the microphone that's at your desk, and you can use that. Thank you.
Testing 1, 2. I keep the mask on, right? Okay. This is an unusual moment in my life. First time I've ever been an elector, and I just wanted to, take this time to thank people. But for clarity's sake, I'm Julian Wheeler from the 10th Congressional District. If you look around, you might see it. since we are in it. And I come from Lakewood, home of the manufacturer of the dry ice that will be transporting COVID vaccines in a moment. And I also wanted to say that when I turned 18, a long time ago, the first person I wanted to support for president was Senator Joseph Biden. And it's kind of a full circle moment that I have here to actually be casting a vote as an elector. I wanted to just fast forward, and I look forward to the Biden-Harris administration healing and building this country and everyone coming together. And I wanted to also express my philosophy that this is, the partisan affinity was one thing. I supported them because they were Democrats, but also because my underlying philosophy is to support a sentiment that would allow people to earn an income, to secure a home, and if desired, to raise a family. And I just wanted to point that out. This is a country of various beliefs and abilities, and I'm proud that we've come this far. I wanted to acknowledge that what's helped me along is the Americans with Disabilities Act, signed in 1990 by President George H.W. Bush, a Republican from Texas. So good ideas come from every persuasion. As I was watching a speaker named T-Bear on a show called Wapos Bay, based in Saskatchewan, speak on the occasion of Remembrance Day, he indicated that people in his family, he learned quite suddenly, had done extraordinary things in times of crisis, and that's what we have now. And I'm proud of my sibling elector, Jack Aarons, for doing the extraordinary of serving the people as an elector himself. And I also wanted to thank other friends who helped get me here. A former high school teacher named Corey Michaelis, who taught history, and in some essays he received, some of his students talked about going to college, and I support that. College or Voc Tech, education for all, although in some cases his students misspelled the word college and it became collage, and I brought some souvenirs that he suggested I pass out to the other electors with the phrase electoral collage on it, just to kind of disclaim that it is misspelled for a reason. And wanted to, and that thereby bring levity to this procedure, but I want to thank my U.S. Representative Denny Heck on his service, and also to wish him Godspeed on his pending service as our Lieutenant Governor, presiding in all places this chamber. And I want to say proudly that each of us, as we have business to conduct in this chamber, can now brag to our friends who've been elected to the State House that maybe we beat them to this chamber to conduct business. I want to thank my family, my wife Sarah, and I want to indicate that as a political science major and a law student at the University of Washington, go Huskies, I support the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which is perhaps our nearest and clearest solution to making the Electoral College more reflective of the popular will. And I also wanted to thank a friend of mine, Sonics Guy, for giving me a pick in honor of his father, who was a veteran who passed away a few years ago. And I sit here today as a disabled American veteran. And finally, I want to say, may God bless America and possibly Canada. But I wanted to read, in this country of religious freedom, a passage from the Bible I've always wanted to read under the circumstance of the president of my persuasion, and that's Romans 13:1, which is, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. So I learned of that passage from the Reverend Jerry Falwell when he was speaking favorably of the President, Ronald Reagan. I can now say that proudly today. I choose to believe that in this country under the United States Constitution, that all of us can come together and celebrate that, Democratic, Republican, or otherwise. I'm proud of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to
first thank our great Governor Jay Inslee. And second, thank you, Kim, for your election and that we elected Joe Biden and Senator Harris. And I just want to thank you for your good work. And the third person I'd like to thank is our chair of the Democratic Party. She's just done a great job. Tina, thank you. Stand up for a minute, Tina. There she is. She's just done a great job. And as the chair of the Native American Caucus, we increased our vote from like 5 to 18%, you know, with the 29 tribes in the state of Washington. And I'm just proud to be in the Presidential Electoral College, and thank you for today. Thank you to all the staff for organizing this. You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Martin Carnation. It's an honor and privilege of Electoral College, a delegation whose diversity reflects the diversity which makes the great state of Washington so great. Our role today is fundamentally symbolic. The 12 of us are here to represent and carry out the will not just of the 2,369,612 Washingtonians who voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but also the collective will of every Washington resident. Every one of us brings with us a very personal story. Mine is a multi-generational one which harkens back to the early 20th century when my mother's parents immigrated to Washington State from Japan. It has highs, such as when she graduated valedictorian of Seattle's Franklin High School in 1936, and lows, such as Executive Order 9066, which forcibly deported her and her family from Washington State. Today is another high. Mom, you didn't live to see the day, and events conspired to prevent you from returning to Washington State after the war. But today I'm here for you. Mary Hatsuko Torabara Cheney, today is for you and a bright future for all your progeny and all Americans.
Shikpachwe, Inknashwaniksha, Chwakuthlaninam, Ashanisha, Electoral College. This afternoon, I greeted you in the language of my people of the Yakama Nation. I just want to say that I'm here representing the 4th Congressional District, as well as the 14th Legislative District, including the Yakama Nation, which the original homelands were about 11 million acres, the entire portion of central Washington. So today I'm pleased to be here with you all. As you were speaking, I wanted to just acknowledge, you know, when we speak about the Constitution and the law of the land also means that Congress will also recognize the treaties that it has with the Indian tribes, Alaska Natives throughout the United States. And so thank you for those words to remind me. I stand here today as a representative of my ancestors, and I bring forth those teachings and the prayers that they had for us to be able to be here, to work with the state government, the local government, county, federal government as well. And so as I continue to move forward, I bring along also my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and all of the grandchildren, wherever they may be in the homelands of Indian country, which is throughout the United States. Today, I live in White Swan, is where I grew up and was raised in the community of Medicine Valley. And I continue to live on the Yakama Reservation. This work that we're doing today, you know, in support of Biden-Harris ticket is important work. We all have to roll up our sleeves and get ready to go to work. We're here to vote. However, as you shared earlier, you know, we're at a crossroads today, and it's up to each and every one of us to pull ourselves together and bring our children along, our families along, as we continue to make life better in society. And so these few words I just wanted to share with you. Kutlaninam Ashnisha.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Okay. Electors and honored guests, thanks to all of you for the kindness. I also must thank Democratic leaders, Marion Harrison and Greg Lineberry of the 38th Legislative District, as well as Snohomish County Chair Hiller Morales and Tina Podlodowski, who advocated for me during the election process. I have noted through this time that the Electoral College is not great, but it is the system we have in place. Knowing that, I was set on being a faithful elector. So I cast my ballot today for Joseph Biden and Kamala Harris. I did so enthusiastically of my own choice. I did not need a law to tell me I had to do it. Today was the chance to begin the end of the Trump administration. I was glad to do my duty and rid our nation of a petty dictator. Had he won a second term, there is no limit to the damage he could have done to the world. It will be up to others to do the hardest work of rebuilding our nation, as my health is failing. In November, I was told there is no more medical treatment that can help me. So it was important for me to do this one thing that I could do while I still can. Again, thank you. And God bless our great country.
Your emotion, and I am so glad that you're here and that you in the room with you. Thank you.
I'm proud to have the opportunity electoral process forward. This election far more chaotic than it needs to be. It is, hopefully we can put us back on the right track of respecting the will of the people and moving forward to installing the new administration. And hopefully in 4 years, the Electoral College will go back to being a little more boring like it usually is.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Although flow crowds up in the reception room and having that response and that real show of democracy, but this is pretty special today. So thank you very much for those comments. Peyton Swinford, please.
It means a great deal to me in college. I had the dream of being a civics teacher. So to take part in a civic institution as important as this one, with so many wonderful people sitting beside me, it means a really a whole lot. This institution, as proud as I am to be a part of it, is one I do think is archaic. So as I sit here today, I also sit here in solidarity with those who are calling for reform or even abolishment of the Electoral College. And beyond that, it's especially significant to be able to sit here casting these votes in such a historic year where not only do we get to remove the most dangerous president this country has ever seen, but also elect the first ever woman and woman of color to on a presidential ticket. Thank you to the voters of Washington for trusting me to sit here today, and thank you.
I am so of the 7th Congressional District, which is so diverse and varied, to vote for Joseph Biden for president, and especially as the daughter of a Japanese mother who worked in sugarcane fields and an African-American father who worked in the cotton fields of the South, but became a doctor to give me so many opportunities. I am so proud to vote for my fellow Pelasian For those who don't know, that is a Black and Asian, Blasian, Kamala Harris, who will be making history as the first woman, the first African American, and the first Asian Vice President of the United States. However, I too hope that one day we will eliminate this Byzantine process that distorts our democracy, where we have to wait to see if the candidate who got 7 million more votes actually won the election. A process that was created over 200 years ago to deal with complexities that no longer exist, and was upheld to give power to slave owners who would have considered me 3/5 of a person. While a constitutional amendment may be far off, I do hope to see the National Popular Vote Compact, of which this great state is a party, go into effect in my lifetime, so that the power will truly be with the people and not with party insiders like me. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, the floor goes.
I am honored to be here to cast congressional district represented by Dr. Kim Schreier, represents a vast landscape from the Tech and Business Center of Issaquah over the Cascade Mountains to the beautiful Columbia River Valley, the home of the agricultural heart of Washington. From one side of the mountains to the other, a few truths prevail. Our Constitution and our democracy will weather any storm. We will emerge from this national crisis stronger and more united than ever before. And finally, let us all remember that Black lives matter.
Go with Nancy Monticelli.
Like my fellow electors, I am overwhelmed with honor and pride to be part of this assemblage today. As someone who lives on the far eastern side of our state, our experience of democracy is a little different sometimes over there, and it's incredibly encouraging and invigorating to be amongst such honored company here today. I'm really proud to represent the 5th District and just appreciate the work that so many have put into ensuring the sanctity of this election. So I thank all of you. I thank you, Kim, and Governor Inslee, and everyone in this room for the incredible work that's been done. We have a lot of work to do. This may be the end of the Trump administration. It's not the end of Trumpism, and we have a lot of work to do repairing our country. This is the beginning, and I thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you. Goes to Santiago Ramos.
It's an honor to be here. It's an honor of a lifetime. College. I want to thank the voters of Washington and my fellow Democrats who trusted in me, and I want to thank you all.
Hi there. The first time, I would expect that this is my only time, and that years from now we will look back at this as the beginning to really deal with climate change and our other issues, racial problems and everything else. So I'm glad to be a part of this turn to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so as we've been doing these presentations, we have been circulating 6 copies of the documents that will certify the results of your votes here today. These certificates will be transmitted as follows. 1 will be sent to the President of the United States Senate in Washington, D.C. 2 will be sent to the Archivist of the United States in Washington, D.C., one of which will be held subject to the order of the President of the U.S. Senate. The other shall be preserved by the Archivist of the United States for 1 year and shall be part of the public records of his office and shall be open for public inspection. 1 will be sent to the presiding judge of the Federal District Court of the Western District, Seattle, Washington, and 2 will be retained by the Secretary of State of the State of Washington as required by law. And for those watching at home, the certificate that the electors signed stated, "We, the undersigned presidential electors of the State of Washington, being duly elected and qualified as evidenced by the accompanying certificate of ascertainment, and having met pursuant to the provisions of federal and state law at the state capitol in Olympia in the state of Washington at 12 o'clock noon on the first Monday after the second Wednesday in December 2020, do certify that we have voted by ballot separately for the offices of President of the United States and Vice President of the United States for the respective terms which begin on the 20th of January 2021, and that the following are the names of all persons who receive votes for these offices respectfully. For the office of President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, 12 votes. And for the office of Vice President of the United States, Kamala D. Harris, 12 votes. Now I, Secretary Wyman, will come forward to witness your signatures by placing my signature on all 6 documents, and then we will place them in the envelopes containing the certificates of ascertainment for transmittal to the appropriate federal authorities. Opened by the President of the Senate, and the list of votes recorded by the 4 tellers appointed by the House and Senate. The President of the Senate shall thereupon announce the state of the vote, which announcement shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons, if any, elected to President and Vice President of the United States, and together with the list of the votes be officially entered into the journals of the House and the Senate. So, our last order of business is to approve and sign the record of these proceedings. We will now pause and prepare the meeting minutes to be signed by each elector. So please stay in the Senate chambers while staff prepare those minutes and circulate them, and then we will get close to adjourning. Just a moment. Or did you all do that each elector is being asked to sign and date their the minutes. Okay, well, this concludes the business of the College of Electors for the state of Washington. Thank you all for playing the significant role in the further cementing of the future leaders of our nation and for your commitment to Washington State. I do want to invite each of you to join us in the rotunda for a socially distanced photograph, and I do hereby adjourn Washington's 33rd Electoral College meeting. Gather your belongings. Stuart over here, Jensen, is ready to escort you to where we'll be taking the photograph. And please feel free to take those commemorative pens, which I'm sure were a little challenging to use, but thank you so much for being here today.